This meeting is called to order. The first order of business is the, thank you. Is the two minutes. Oh, did you know it was coming?
Yeah, it did last time.
I didn't remember. Now I will. We've got minutes for the January 8th meeting and the 12th. Have you had a chance to look at those, y'all?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Any changes or amendments?
we're good.
Okay, they're approved as shown, and we'll move on. Emergency closure of Election Day site.
So we were just notified that Trinity Methodist, which is our polling place on Sycamore and Garland, has been purchased by another church. And when that church purchased it, they did not realize that we were a polling location. And so they have started an extensive remodel of the building already, and they have completely turned the water off, which would, the remodel, you could maybe kind of work around, but the no water kind of thing for our poll workers, it's just not going to be feasible for us to actually be in that location for the primary.
Okay.
So we would need to declare basically this is an emergency and do a closure of this polling place. My recommendation is that we not try and replace it. This is the same one that we had to do for 2024. That was road construction in front of it, which made it impossible to get inside of the building. So when we did that in 2024, we ended up with 151 voters who went to the VA up on North Street. For a primary election, I feel like we could incorporate those voters by sending them to Sang. It's relatively close. The facility itself is a large facility, and they could handle the extra voters that would come there. In 2024, Trinity Methodist had 235 voters who voted there. 2022, they had 282. So when I look at the number of voters, we can easily accommodate those voters at Sang, and it is an established polling place. I think voters trying to find the VA, especially when you look at 151 for a presidential general, that made it difficult for voters to actually find that location. Sang is an established location. I do think it'll be easier for the voters to find that. So my recommendation would be that we just close Trinity Methodist for the March 3rd election and not try and replace it.
Yeah. Okay.
Could we put signs up?
We will be, yes, and we're required by law to place signs up. And one of the things, how this kind of has fallen, my notice of election publishes in the paper on Sunday. I've already talked to the newspaper, and I'll be able to edit my publication so that this can be included in the newspaper publication. And of course, we'll correct it on our website, and we'll correct it through voter view as well. But signs will be placed at all the locations, not just Trinity Methodist, but the other ones that were open in 2024 that we're not opening this year. And so signs are placed at all of those. So yes.
Okay. Okay. So we don't need a motion on this because it's an emergency.
I think you would need a motion.
Okay.
Yes. And it would need to be, yes.
I'll move that we close the, which one is?
Trinity
Trinity Methodist, and move that operation to Sang, and that we do not reopen it. That what?
Yeah, for this election, for the March 3rd election.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I just moved that we close it then.
Okay, we have a motion.
I second the emergency closure.
Then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Then the second part of that equation deals with the runoff election. So it will not be available for the runoff election either. But we also were informed too that Sonora Baptist Church, which is an election day site, is not available for us for the runoff. When the supervisor was here for poll worker training, she said that the church has scheduled an event on that day, and it's a pretty massive event. So there wouldn't be accommodations for us to maybe be in a smaller room or something along those lines. So for the runoff election, this doesn't necessarily have to be an emergency closure because we're not in that time frame, but I will need to change our notice of election to reflect for the runoff election that would be countywide. Both Sonora and Trinity Methodist would not be open for that.
Okay. So we need a motion for that too.
Is there another location for Sonora?
So I can look to see, I'm not sure if there's another good location out there that would be known. So it is between Nob Hill and then Civic Center. So the voters would have an opportunity to go to one of those places. When I looked up the runoff election numbers for 2022, that's the last runoff we've had, Trinity Methodist had 36. So that was not a significant number. Sonora had 133. So but I do think that we can post notice at Sonora on election day to say that their site will be closed for March 31st. And these are your two closest polling locations, Nob Hill or Civic Center, for those voters to go to.
Can we also hand out something, or is that not proper?
So we could, but I think that just adds an extra burden to our poll workers. But what we will do is post that. And then, of course, all of this gets reposted in the paper, gets reposted everywhere. And so this Sonora community is a pretty tight little community. So I think once the word spreads, it'll help. And of course, we will post signs at Sonora for the runoff election as well. But on March 3rd, we will have signs posted inside saying, hey, the site won't be open when you come back for the runoff.
Okay.
Those numbers were a presidential election year?
Those were 2022. So
Okay.
yeah, so.
All right.
I make a motion to also approve the emergency closure of the Sonora Baptist Church for this election for the runoff.
For the runoff, yeah.
Yeah, just for the runoff.
Just for the runoff,
Yep.
right?
And Trinity Methodist as well.
And Trinity Methodist as well.
And I second.
Okay, well, I'm not going to repeat that because you've got it. All in favor?
Aye.
And then I do have a document so that we can file that. Exactly. The first part is for the primary and then the second part is for the runoff.
And is that sufficient to have it on one document?
Yes, I feel like these are, we'll go back in and edit the notice of election, but so this will be attached to our notice of election when we file the documents with the county clerk's office. So it'll be in her paperwork.
All right.
I know you guys always have signage posted for these types of things. Very, very well handled.
We do, and we'll do social media posts as well. So I haven't done a social media post on this yet, because the commission needs to approve it, but we'll also do social media posts that the site is closed. This is your closest place. And then when we go to the runoff election, we'll do social media posts again, as well, along with our required publications. So
In that notice, could you also put maybe just a brief explanation, like emergency closure due to building renovations or unseen, or?
I don't think it would be required to do that, but because when we're talking about the notice for the newspaper, that's just the two times. But when we do our social media posts and what I post on our website, then yes, I can add that language to our website and to our social media.
I just don't want it to look like we're closing polling sites.
Well, yeah,
For no
we're
reason.
always going to be accused of doing that. But yeah, I think that's probably a good idea in the social posts.
Yeah, and I'll do it on our website as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, logic and accuracy for the March 3rd election.
So this is all the testing that we have been doing on all the voting equipment. So we have tested the printed paper ballots for absentees. We have tested all the express votes and the express vote printers, or the express vote ballots. We have also tested the poll books so that when we pull up a voter for a precinct, that precinct that is assigned from the poll book actually matches the ballot that is in the express vote. So we have completed that testing, which is required by law. And so this would be one of the things is we do a 0, and then these other documents are just showing the different groups where we tested. The one thing that we have not been able to finish, but we will finish that on Monday, is we're required to upload this to the election night reporting
right.
site from the Secretary of State's office. It is not ready for us.
Yeah.
So as soon as that site is ready, we will upload these results. I've left that date blank, but we will upload those results. These results get filed with the county clerk's office, and then of course we'll file them with the Secretary of State's office. And then we'll upload to election night reporting and see how that part goes. So, but yeah, but that part of it is not testing the system. That part of it is the election night reporting is how the state has done a really good job of having a comprehensive site that has all the results from all the different counties on it. And so this uploading of our LNA results to that is a test of how that system is working. It is not a test of our voting equipment at all. It is just a test so that when individuals go to that election night, that when we upload our results, they upload correctly. So it's does have nothing to do with the security or the certifications or anything like that. It's just part of.
But it's a good test for the state.
It is, and it's a good test for us too, because you need anything you do, you want the practice. So when we upload the LNA, it gives us the practice of uploading results. So election night, it's not the first time we've uploaded results.
And you make sure all the equipment is working and figure out any bugs or how long it takes.
Yeah, because I do think this report will take us a little bit longer to upload because of how we've set up the election. We've set up the election in the reporting groups by polling place. That's often a question we get. And when we go back and do reconciliation, it is better for us, but it does take the report a little bit longer to create. Now, this is not the reports that the public will get election night that we release here. It's just that one that goes to the state. So, yeah.
Now, is this something you can upload or is it something that the county clerk has to upload?
So-
I know there's some.
So we always have uploaded it because we have access to the computers. And then, but some counties, the county clerk does it. It just kind of depends. But for us, it is us,
Quicker.
yeah, to upload it. So, yeah. And so I would just need one commissioner's signature on that after you guys have kind of
On this,
looked at it.
the top,
Mhm.
you need initials on these?
So yes, if you want to just initial the first page on those, that shows that you have looked at them, and you'll see that there's a clear pattern on those. That's how we do our testing is with the pattern. No. Now, this is how long the report will be election night that we print out for the public. So what we have done in the past is, because it is quite long, we printed physical copies for the commission to review. And then those individuals who are in attendance sign up with an email, and we email the results to them.
right.
And that actually worked really well for us. And so that would be our plan for us for election night if the commission is in agreement with that.
Yeah, I think we should continue with that. It saves you guys
It
a
does.
ton of, well, paper for
Yeah,
one thing.
and the printer that goes with our reporting computer is just a little HP printer, so it just, takes time.
Chugs along.
It does. And the public gets it faster
Right.
because we're not having to print.
We just need one signature.
Yeah, just one signature.
Okay.
we don't have to wait on to pass them out until we get 20 of them. You know, if
Yeah.
we had 20 people in
Right,
here.
right.
And so
20
that way
pages,
the
yeah.
commission reviews it and then everyone who signed up for an email copy instantaneously gets it at the same time.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, here we are talking about not needing printers. Well, that's another one.
Yeah.
I hate to mention it, but primary is misspelled
Oh, really?
on this. Yeah. Yeah, on this particular one, this is the,
Is it
Yeah.
just at the top in the title?
Yeah.
That's an easy fix. It's just the report. It's not on anything.
Oh,
It's just,
I thought, okay, I didn't even, I thought the clip was over it. No, I know, I'm on to you.
I will admit unashamedly that I didn't look at that.
No, I was looking at the numbers.
Yeah.
Too much.
and it's because I hand type them all in
Oh.
as I go.
Yeah.
So it's your,
get ahead of your fingers.
Yes, 100%.
I know how that goes.
you always blame that stuff on autocorrect.
Oh, I,
Where does it
Doesn't
have
have it.
autocorrect?
oh,
Yeah.
I hate
The other thing, 'cause
autocorrect.
It doesn't even put a line underneath it.
Mm.
It shows that I've misspelled it, so I
Mm.
just go.
Well, do we need a new page for that one and the initial?
To go back into the
Cover
first.
page, cover page?
I don't think I can.
Just leave
We
it.
can't.
Just leave it,
Yeah.
but be aware.
We will look on our, that's what I was gonna say. We will edit our reports election night. So yeah.
Sounds good.
Don't be so thorough.
I'm sorry. That's one of my pet peeves.
Well, but it just shows you when you proof,
Yeah.
we're proofing numbers because that we're like, oh my gosh, or the number. And then it's so easy to like overlook the most obvious thing, the title.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You're just like,
Because all I cared was that the numbers came out right.
Right.
and the stick
Yeah.
read incorrectly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Mhm.
So
Well, that, it takes all of us.
Yeah.
Okay, next item, poll worker notice for the
so
third.
this is the list of all the poll workers that would be eligible for the March 3rd election, the March
Oh,
31st
31st.
election in every capacity. So this
Mhm.
would be, if you're on this list, you can do anything, election deliveries, election staff, absentee canvassing, early vote, election day. There are two names on this that are related to candidates that are running.
Okay.
They are eligible to work as long as no one files a complaint, or not a complaint,
A
really, but
reserve
a
of some kind.
yes, saying that, they're not eligible to work.
Well, I think
An objection to their service is how, it's an objection to their service. So there are two on here. One is Debbie Corley, who works as part of our staff, and then the other one is Mike Stewart, or Michael Stewart. So yeah, not the candidate, the father. So, but I do want to point that out to the commission that we have included them on here. They're longtime
Mhm.
members of our team. You know, and they've served the county faithfully. They've served the election commission faithfully. But in, you know, transparency, I don't want to, you know, not include that for the commission to know that when you sign this document, and then that makes it
And
available.
you've talked to each one of them to tell them that this is always a possibility
Yes.
that someone would object.
Yes.
Okay.
So, what will happen is the commission, if you agree to this, will sign it. And then, it gets posted in the county clerk's office. So that's where it becomes
Oh, that doesn't
available.
have to be published?
No, it's not.
Okay,
Yes. So it's
good.
posted in the county clerk's office, and then the objection has to be made in the county clerk's
Okay.
office in writing. So it can't be just someone calls up
Yeah.
and says, hey, I don't want such and such to work. It actually has to be done
Mm-hmm.
in the county clerk's office. So we will post this in the clerk's office on Monday, which is the start of
Right.
the 7 days. But yes, but
Have you ever had a call like that?
we've only ever had one, but it ended up that they weren't related. That's the reason. You have to be related or on the ballot. This was just, small town, small kind of thing. They didn't want this person working because they, knew someone,
Right.
and that's not an objection
Yeah.
that you can make. That's the only time we've ever really had someone. There aren't any other names on there that I am aware of that are related to anyone that's running. I just,
Yeah.
but those two.
And that's the reason it's left for somebody to call, because there's no way you can know everybody.
It's,
That's for sure.
there's not. Now, we do ask when we hire, if you are related to someone to let us know. But if you were hired 10 years ago, you
Oh,
might not
right.
have been related
Yeah.
to someone who's
Yeah.
running. And now all of a sudden you do. So that's why all the names are included
Yeah.
on the list. And then someone would have to make an objection.
And I know in the past, even when you weren't related, but the candidate happened to be in a supervisor position over that person, we've always been cautious and very transparent about both people.
Yeah. Yeah. We just, we're not going to hide anything, so that's. But the capacities that they work in the election process itself, there isn't anything that any one individual can do to change the outcome
Right.
of an election. There are so many safeguards in place. There's so many, responsibilities that are not just one individual's, that
Mhm.
is looked at and double checked and all of that, I feel confident that we will continue to have fair and, elections.
Ooh,
Fair and accurate.
very timely.
I was just looking at it.
Yeah, there's a lot of names.
Yeah, there's a lot of names.
There are. So we've included names on there that maybe they haven't come to training, but we will, it doesn't mean that everyone will work,
Mhm.
but there is potential
Right.
that they would work. So we go ahead and include those names on the list.
Cover all the bases.
Yeah.
Okay. Emergency closure plan if needed.
So it's kind of funny. When I originally had this on the agenda, it was not to talk about the emergency closure of the other polling places. I should have changed it for inclement weather.
Oh, yeah.
Because
We had another snowstorm.
if we have another snowstorm. So I just want to once again discuss what our plan would be for that. In the case of an event like what we saw, 2 weeks ago now, and the county shut down for 2 days, then we would plan on closing all the early vote sites with the exception of the county clerk's office. So the county clerk's office would be the only location open. And it's also required for it to be
Right,
open.
right.
So we don't have any option but to have the county clerk's office open. The other part of the way I think that the emergency closure plan would also play out as well is, let's say, for instance, that the county opened back up, but we were and this is just an example,
Mhm.
Fayetteville Public Library. The Fayetteville Public Library kept itself closed.
Mhm.
We would mirror that and not open
Okay.
that up as an early vote,
Yeah.
site. I just feel like that, if they're closing their building because of the inclement weather, then as our polling place, it should be closed inside of that as well, even if the other sites might be open. And so I just wanted to reconfirm that is our plan
Right.
for that.
That's basically gonna be a polling place by polling place issue.
It could be,
I mean,
yes.
And especially because in Springdale, you might get some weather that you didn't get in Fayetteville.
Right. Well, and for instance, let's look at Lincoln,
Yeah.
Lincoln was harder to, or West Fork. A lot of times
Mhm.
West Fork, that area is so, because of the hills and the roads and everything, maybe it might not be available to us. So that may be a plan that we have to do kind of site by site.
Mhm.
But if the county closes the courthouse, then the plan would be definitely to close all early vote with the exception of the courthouse. Now, when we do that, we will go ahead as our team, go ahead and put in motion the different things that we need to do. I will call an emergency meeting and then it will be 2 hours.
Oh,
After
that's
that.
right, yeah.
We will be able to do it by Zoom because we have
Mhm.
established the rules for that. We would send out the links for that. The one thing is you would be required to have your cameras on.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that,
Yeah.
so that the public knows that it is the commission,
Even if you're in your pajamas.
even if you're in your pajamas and it's.
It only matters with the top hat.
That's
Yeah.
right.
But I just,
I'm not adding any commentary to this discussion.
Jim, I don't know what I would do if I didn't see your pretty face.
I don't know either.
so, but yeah, it just got me thinking about, there it was
Yeah.
2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
and so technically the county was shut down, which would have been 2 weeks
Right.
of early voting, but we would have been in the courthouse. We will coordinate with the sheriff's
I
office
was going to ask you.
to get essential personnel to the courthouse.
Yeah.
We would only need 4, and we will designate who those
Oh,
essential.
okay. Do you need to do that in
No,
advance? or-
we don't. Essentially, I think the essential personnel would be myself,
Mhm.
Lacey, possibly Debbie, but it could be 2 other poll workers. And one of the reasons I would designate myself and Lacey is because if the clerk's office wasn't to be open,
Mhm.
we have access to be able to do the different things that some of the clerk stuff would
Right.
be able to do for the
Right.
voters and connect. So yeah, but we don't have to designate who, the commission wouldn't have to designate. We would just know that we need 4 individuals to be at the courthouse. So yeah.
Do we have enough like salt and things? Because if it's, I know the courthouse normally takes care of that, but I think even so, I think they'll still have court proceedings in the quorum courtroom where we had originally thought could be. That will still probably happen. I haven't seen the judges.
Oh, even if
Really?
the courthouse knows.
Remember that ice storm?
Yes.
We still had to, people legally needed to be safe. So,
We will coordinate with buildings and grounds
okay.
about that. The other thing that we will also coordinate too for the courthouse is because we're not on the lower level anymore. So if the power went out at the courthouse, we would still have to have voting. We've already made a plan to take, you see that tabletop express vote and the old fashioned ballot box to be able to essentially set up a little polling booth. Because if the power's out in the courthouse, then no one will be
Nobody's
coming into
coming.
the courthouse.
Yeah.
So we would be able to set up a temporary station on the first
Mhm.
floor to check
Okay.
in voters, because then we would be out of ADA compliance if the elevators aren't working
Yeah.
because we're in stairs. So we've already kind of pre-planned
Okay.
to take an emergency set that is mobile,
Mhm.
because
Okay.
those we could not get down the staircase,
Yeah.
the big express boats or the DS200, but those little small tabletop ones we can.
Okay.
So we've kind of thought of that plan too.
Let's
It's like
just hope it
all
doesn't
the
happen.
different
What's the battery life on that?
6 hours. We have multiples of these.
Okay.
So yes, we have multiples of these, and the tablets, we would be able to have multiples of those as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, 6 hours is the lifespan of that. So yeah. So, or not lifespan, but the battery power. So yeah.
Okay.
Start yelling at you.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
good.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
What you need is somebody nagging you, right?
Neither panic.
That's right.
If you're using that machine.
So, but hopefully the power wouldn't be out
Yeah.
for that, and
That's-
we would be able to
yeah.
coordinate with an emergency generator or, something
Right.
along those lines. But the elevator is the thing that I was thinking, oh, we haven't had to think about elevators before.
That's right.
And so now we need to have a plan in place if the elevators are not functioning.
Okay.
I do remember one year there was no heat in the building.
Yep.
Oh,
So.
So,
Yeah.
yep, warm
Uh-huh.
coats and,
I never thought about the power because I think we
Mhm.
still had power, but there was no heat.
yeah, you're right. There wasn't. And it
And
got
it-
cold. Yeah.
oh, man.
It was below 50, I think, in that building.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's chilly.
Yep.
See, I don't have my Debbie long ago taught me
Yes.
about hand warmers and I left mine at home today because I knew it wasn't going to be that cold. Okay, any more questions on the emergency
Do we need to approve it?
plan?
No, I just wanted to, since the weather had kind of happened. I kind of wanted to, just talk out our plan
Okay.
of what
That
our
you've
plan would
thought
be.
through all that. You've
Yes.
talked to the emergency people about.
Yes, and I've talked to the sheriff's office about essential personnel,
Mhm.
about how that would function. So yeah.
Super. Okay, next item, party affiliation change language.
So
This other page, isn't it?
yes,
it is.
so we have been doing supervisor training and poll worker training, and part of the poll worker training we've been doing is what happens for a registered Democrat who is requesting a Republican ballot. And how do we navigate that, and what do we say? And so that way we have a script, and our supervisors are not having to come up with a script and we get 41 different explanations of exactly what happened. Or it doesn't appear that to the voters, we are trying to influence them to fill out your voter registration card in this manner. So this is what I propose that we use for our supervisors to let the public know these are the rules. This is why you're having to do that, because that's the other part of the equation. Why am I having to do this? When you fill out your party affiliation, if you fill it out with these things, this is what is available to you. And then for your ballot styles, this is what's on those. Just kind of something our supervisors can say, hey, if you do this, it means this. If you do
Right.
this, it means that. So this is.
Are you going to have copies of this to hand out?
So what we'll have is essentially this sits
Okay.
on the supervisor's desk. So as the poll or the voter is sitting here filling out their
Mhm.
form, boom, it's
Oh,
right
okay.
there. So
Okay.
yeah, so that way you could run out of copies. So we don't want to
Yeah.
run out of copies. And this way it's just on the desk the entire time. And if anyone has questions, hey, here it
Okay.
is. So yeah.
So, and this is kind of a random question. The blank option,
Mm-hmm.
would that be the option that shows up on a person's card, voter registration card as optional?
Mm-hmm. Yep. If you leave it blank, that's
And
how
then
it shows up.
It automatically chooses optional,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
but we don't put optional on that.
We
word.
can, I thought about that too, but on the form, let me grab the forms for you so you can see. It says optional, but a lot of people just leave it blank.
Right.
They don't actually write anything in there. So I didn't necessarily want the voters having to write optional in there.
Well, I understand what you're saying
Yeah.
because they don't have a voter registration card yet, so they haven't seen that word optional.
Oh,
Right. And
yeah.
so my thought process was, I guess I've used all these in class, is if they leave that blank, then the clerk will put them in as optional, which means they then become nonpartisan.
Blank.
It's weird. On your card, it says optional, but when we pull them up in the poll book, it will say nonpartisan for them.
Oh.
So that was another reason why I didn't necessarily want to put optional on there, because the choices that pull up on the tablet, so that would be the next thing that the voter would see. On the tablet, it will say Democratic, Republican, it will say nonpartisan, and they could put nonpartisan or independent, green, that kind of thing.
Right.
So the poll book won't ever say optional,
So they could enter nonpartisan on their
or they could,
application. And a blank shows up as nonpartisan
Mhm. Yep,
in your programming, but it shows up on their card as optional.
optional, but they won't see a card until, well, I don't know that they'll even see a card. The clerk won't automatically mail out
Yeah,
new voter registration cards.
that's just, it doesn't have anything to do with any elections we have coming up.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of thing we probably ought to fix. So if the language is consistent. I don't know if these are under state
Yeah.
regulation, whatever, maybe this word optional needs to be kicked out.
Well, I think the reason optional was here was because you
They're saying
didn't have
they
to
have the
put
option.
anything.
Yeah.
You
No.
don't have to fill this out. So when you fill out a voter registration card, this is required, all of this, your date of birth, your signature, this is all required. This is the only box that is optional for you to fill out.
Yeah, but when their card comes, why does it say, doesn't it say nonpartisan if that's?
Mm-mm.
No, sir.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
I've had to
well,
explain this to many people.
no is not an answer to a why.
And my answer is take it up with your representative and Secretary of State.
I think
I'm
this
just,
is,
I'm just prodding for information right now. I'm not complaining.
So our preference in some ways to make it easier and more cohesive for everyone is if that is left blank in
Yeah.
essence, because then
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
that's what we're doing for us.
Can we
So-
put the words leave blank? Like that's an option?
oh,
I didn't
Is
want
that-
to lead with that.
Okay.
Like, so
If
I
left
can't, if
blank?
left blank,
Maybe. Cause you're like
Yeah.
blank what? Is
No, it needs to be changed over here.
you're
Yeah.
here or here or here.
Yeah, I think it needs to be changed here.
I
and
can't do
I
that.
think, I know you can, I'm just, we can occasionally have some influence, but maybe not. I'm just thinking maybe what it ought to say is party affiliation option and leave the parentheses
Mm.
off.
yeah.
But then you're making it mandatory. Some people don't. I mean, with every election, I think some people vote based off the candidates, not the
Yeah.
party. So then somebody would have to change it each and every time in that election, which they can do now. It's their option to do so and their right to do so. And I think if you put people in a category, label them, you're a hard.
No, I'm saying on this form. I'm not saying on their card or in. When they don't fill this card in, they leave it blank.
Mhm.
They show up in our records as nonpartisan, but they show up on their voter registration card as optional.
So you're saying have the words match.
I think the words need to match, but it's not a huge item. It's just one that I've been concerned about for a while.
Let me ask the clerk, because the clerk prints those cards.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a program inside there that,
You know,
that if she has, I don't know, because the state sets that card system up.
mhm.
But I'm wondering if when someone does leave that blank and they select optional, it almost seems like she has these drop downs
Mhm.
that she could choose. Instead of putting optional, you could, instead of,
That's misleading.
it is. Instead of putting optional, maybe it should just be left blank
Yeah,
on the card
Right.
rather than actually say something
Right.
on the card.
right.
But that is a question I can ask Becky if that is any software availability she has, or if that's part of how Power Profile is set up. We do not have the ability to change this, but how her cards are printed, I don't know. We can
Yeah.
ask Becky and see.
And I remember at the training, I think these are the cards that we use as an example. I don't remember that question coming up to the board saying, is this the only version? Right.
For this,
Mhm.
this is the only version.
Okay.
This is
That's the one
the,
they hand out at the
Yeah.
driver's
DMV.
license.
Yeah. this is the voter registration form. The only thing we did on this form to make it easier for the voter was just highlight
Mhm.
to change your party affiliation. You must
Fill in the.
fill in the highlighted parts. So, yeah. But I can change this if you want me to say if left blank
What do you guys think?
or.
Well,
Oh,
I think the problem with that is, well, if that may not be the right verbiage.
I did it.
Maybe you could
this-
say when left blank.
Well, look at this. We have at the top of this column, we have party affiliation options with
Mhm.
options with no parentheses.
I think I'd scratch party too. affiliation option.
Well, this
I'm not worried
says
about
party
that.
affiliation.
It says party
Yes.
affiliation and then optional in parentheses.
Yeah.
And somehow or another, you know, if they said the same thing, it might work, it might help. Or if you can find that the clerk's office can nix using the optional and use nonpartisan or whatever we're going to, you know.
Well, for that, this part will be a future project in regards to the cards printed, because the voters aren't going to see the cards printed. All the voter is going to see
I understand.
is in the tablet. But I guess my thought process was blank, then this is your process. I didn't put in the words when left blank, only because I felt like that was leading, you know, but if it's blank, then
Yeah.
this happens. I don't know.
Can you answer me? So the person says, hey, I'd like to vote on this ticket, but I'm a registered this. Do they see this? Like, are you going to turn it around, or is this only for the supervisor?
No, this is facing the voter.
Okay.
So when the voter is filling out this,
Okay.
it's like, oh, blank, I can leave it blank. And that ideally is what's going to happen, because what we don't want to do is tell the voter they have to put Republican here.
Right.
And so we're saying if you leave that blank, then that is what will happen. So, yeah.
Choice.
So,
No choice. Different choice.
so.
Are we able to, with the language, has it been, like, can we approve to the board, or does it have to be approved on a higher level?
So this is for us to approve, but we also need to keep it simple.
Okay.
So, and that's in my mind,
Mhm.
these are just one thing, because
Mhm.
there's so much for the public to read, they're not
Right,
going to
right,
read.
yeah.
So my thought process was that says blank, I like that blank.
What you're telling the voter is if you fill out a new voter registration, you can leave it blank and then you can choose of three options, which ballot you will receive.
Yep.
Would no party selected be better verbiage?
Yeah, I think that would be.
What'd you say?
No party selected instead of blank.
No selection,
No party selected.
Or no selection, or almost,
because that's nonpartisan.
Yeah, but you have essentially,
you're
you have
essentially telling them.
Mhm.
you have four choices if maybe even five, if you don't select a party.
Almost, if we say if left blank, voter will have the option for.
And I would put that at the bottom.
Well,
Mhm.
we want, this makes it simpler.
Uh,
Because then if they come over and they fill out Democrat, then we're in the same boat. We don't want them to assume they have to put Republican. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because then it feels like we're leading them to say you have to fill out Republican. Nonpartisan gets confusing in parts, because then if they take that nonpartisan ballot, then they don't get the party
Right.
part, which they wanted
And
a
they have to,
Republican.
and they have to know that in advance
Yeah.
before they declare
So
it.
the reason I put this first is because this is the option.
Styles is misspelled.
Okay. Yeah, this has not been proved.
This is why it's a
was-
draft.
Yes, I love this. So I almost think if left blank, because that says party affiliation.
Well, I'm less
Option.
concerned about what this says as I am for the fact that we somehow or another, we select optional to put on the registration card. But yet that person really fits more into a nonpartisan category. And I just think, I guess I'm offended by optional on the,
Mm,
registration card.
Yeah.
But I didn't mean to start this,
well, it's,
wrong.
It's a valid point. I think that's the reason why we're having this discussion.
I think we want to just give clear direction to the voter when I fill this out without our poll workers. See,
Right.
that's the trick.
Yeah.
We don't want poll workers to say, well, if you put Republican here,
Mhm.
then other people who are listening in the polling place
Yeah,
are
that
just going to hear.
conversation that doesn't need to happen.
Exactly. They're just going to hear every supervisor is telling them to put Republican there. That's the conversation. So that's why I started, that's why I thought, okay, this is what we need to do. But if we put that, if you leave party affiliation blank, this is your options. Because what's going to happen is when the
Yeah,
clerk,
and that clearly comes through.
yeah,
I just, the optional thing is that's been on my mind for a while.
Yeah.
So, I don't know where
and
it needs to be corrected, but.
well, I think what this will need to be a discussion that in 2027 that they work on is if you are going to, in essence, close the primaries, then you will need to change this form.
Right.
This form has been created for an truly open primary system. So now what we have is a partially closed primary and an open primary, but we don't have a voter registration form that reflects that.
Mhm.
So if this is the move that the parties are working towards, this ultimately will have to get changed.
Yeah.
Mhm. How about no selection declared?
Is that too many words?
It is a lot of words,
Yeah.
but
It's very clear.
that's the idea is if you don't
Could it be no collection made?
make
or
a
no-
declaration,
No selection made?
and I think it's important that you allow people to know they don't have to choose a party.
Well, that's why I said blank, because if
Yeah.
you just leave
Yeah.
it blank,
But a lot of people aren't going to understand what blank means.
so.
Yes.
Could you put if in front of each one of those?
Under party selection list optional as a party, and wouldn't that take care of the issue?
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
If we put optional,
No, I don't think
No.
that is.
I don't
People are
really-
are not selecting optional.
Mhm.
It's selected for them when they.
I
leave it
feel like
blank.
if we say if left blank,
The word that when you go to pull up the voter records or the kind of voter rolls, it'll list you as Republican, Democrat, optional.
so, but
Either you go Jerry or Bob.
yes, but what happens is because I'm thinking procedurally,
Mhm.
if the voter leaves this blank,
Mhm.
when we call the clerk, we say they left that blank, then the clerk
Mhm.
is the one who actually goes in and connect and
Mhm.
makes that drop down selection, will drop down the selection to nonpartisan. So it makes it simple and efficient for the clerk to know what I'm having to do.
Right.
Because that's what the blank translates to
Yeah.
in the tablet system, not in the VR system, not with the cards that are printed, not what shows up on voter view or anything like
Mhm.
that. Because where she's making the changes is not in Power Profile. She's making the changes actually in the tablet system. And the tablet system has 3 options: nonpartisan, Democratic, or Republican. So by leaving it blank, she can then go in and then just attach the nonpartisan to the blank.
Then it seems to me if left blank should cover it.
That's what I think, because that way we're not requiring
Right.
the voter to put anything here.
Mhm.
And that was my thought process. Because this is optional, it means the voter does not have to put anything there.
Yeah.
And because this is not correlating to
Mhm.
Power Profile,
Right.
this is correlating to the tablets. That was why I started with blank. So I think if we just add the language if left blank,
Mhm.
because that is essentially what we're saying to the voter. If you leave this blank,
Well, now I'm thinking, I'm just wondering. The only one of these that's different And the result of what happens, what they're offered is the Democratic.
So here's why I put the Democratic on here. So,
I know,
well, so this is another wrinkle to it. For voters who are not in our tablets at all, and we have to add them,
This question comes up.
that
again.
voter might want to put that they want a Democrat, that they want to be affiliated with the Democratic Party. So this has to serve the purpose for voters who are changing their party
Mhm.
affiliation, but also voters who are going to vote a provisional ballot because they're not registered to vote and they're filling out one of these. They would have the option to put Democrat there.
I would probably I would probably put in here this at the top and all others, this.
I
No,
object.
that's,
For sure.
that's gonna get you into
So-
some trouble.
Here's
Yeah. I think we
my
need to be
feedback
unbiased.
from the supervisors. I honestly think that this blank at the
Yeah.
top, because that's the primary.
Okay.
And then I did this as
Alphabetically,
kind of,
oh.
well, kind of
Yeah.
like logically,
Yeah.
Democratic and Republican, you would put the D before the R. Then the others are kind of the not very many
Right.
kind of thing.
Right.
And so the only reason I included this Democrat part is for those voters who are voting provisional and are filling this out, they would have the option to put Democrat on there if they wanted to, because they may be wanting to register with the Democratic Party.
Right.
So, yeah.
I think, yeah, essentially it's saying if you want to have a Democratic ballot, or if you want to register as a Democrat, you only have two choices. You do not have three as the other options give you.
Yeah, because this also serves for, like I said, voters who are not in our tablet and they're
Mhm.
voting a provisional because they're not registered to vote. We cannot kind of just bypass that they may register Democrat and then want to take a Democratic ballot, so we can't know that. So, and then I didn't want to mislead and be like, well, why isn't the Democrat on here? So.
Yeah, I think it needs to be there, and it needs to be
I didn't
clear.
say to take that off. I
No,
said
you-
put it first,
Put it
Yeah.
first.
because that's the only one that's different.
It is.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I think,
Sometimes we get a little, in my mind, we get a little overzealous and I'm trying to read all this.
Mhm.
And really, the only thing this tells me, if you want to register Democratic, you get two options, and anything else, you get three options.
I think you might even, as Jim says, put Democratic up at the top and put below that if left blank.
okay.
We could go back to the color printer and and what we could do, I don't know, but each time it says Democrat, do one color, Republican, one color, and nonpartisan, and then that way you can.
No.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Make
with
it simple.
I'm okay with
Yeah.
it. It is,
Yeah.
this is not a fixable
I,
deal here unless you can fix it at the.
and I do,
Fix it.
Yeah.
but even that
Can't, I
fix,
mean, it would only be
Yeah.
for future stuff.
yeah, that fixes for the future. I
Yeah.
think the simple
Mhm.
thing is, because my mind is, this is what we want them to do
hmm
if left blank.
Yeah.
That's the easiest, and so that's why because we're sitting in here knowing how the rules and work, but I'm having to look at my supervisors and the voters and all of that. And in my mind, whenever I see the first thing, that's normally the thing that you should do,
Okay.
And so that was my
So
thought
you
process.
you want to encourage them to leave it blank.
It makes it easier for the voter to leave it blank.
Gives them more options and they don't have to change every
Yeah,
time.
because what our fear is, if they fill it out, if we're a new registered voter,
Mhm.
not the ones who are changing the party affiliation. They fill out Democrat and then they go through all that process. They get their provisional ballot and then they go and then they're like, oh no, I wanted a Republican ballot. Well, then we have to call the clerk back and then we have to get them to change that and they have to change the form again. So yes, this is the best option, the cleanest option for our supervisors, for the voters. The others become informative information because we can't just say to leave it blank
Mhm.
because you do have the options to do these other things.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, we'll see how it shakes out.
The nice thing is this is only for the primary. When we get to
Yeah,
the general
yeah, good
election,
point.
it
Good point.
all goes away. So yeah.
Oh,
So I think the if left blank should be the first option.
Yeah.
I think it's,
Let's go with that.
I'm good.
can we talk about the order of these paragraphs for the
Oh,
first
sure.
one?
Yeah. Like I said, this was just like something because I needed something in class and needed a starting point.
Mm,
Yeah, no, I think this is great. Can we move the second paragraph to the first?
Yep.
To make it a little bit, because that first word is registered Democrats and you see in Republican ballot style and you're like, whoa, am I reading the right thing?
Right.
So the first thing it says, a rule change for, and then what do you think? And then move number, like swap
I-
1 and 2?
Yeah, that's what I think. Well, I actually
Or-
think it needs to go 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. Maybe. No, I think it
Okay,
needs to go.
how'd you
I
go?
think it needs to go 1.
One is a
then-
rule change.
Yep. And then 2 is registered Democrats.
Right,
Okay.
And then 3 is no legislative changes.
Right.
And then 4 is what was 4.
okay.
Okay.
And then 5. But yes, I can swap that. Sometimes when you start these things, you just need a starting point.
Yeah.
And I realized after the first class that the supervisors actually needed something to look at, to kind of get a feel for what they're going to see when the voters come over to them.
And I think that it would be important for the supervisors not to have to explain, just read it here, no explanation.
And that was because we don't want to put supervisors in the position of
Mhm.
having to explain something, because if they got something wrong,
Right.
then, heaven forbid, because they were just trying to be helpful. And this way they can just point, hey, here you go.
Read this.
And like I said, other voters in the place aren't hearing snippets of conversation, which that way they're not, oh, look, they're telling them all to fill it out Democrat, or they're telling them all to do this. So it really just needed to be something they can point to.
Yes.
The ballot styles was a request by our supervisors to actually put that information on there as well. After I had mocked this up. So we went back and revised it again. And we'll revise it from this. So
Okay.
No, I think this is a really smart plan to have everybody on the same page with using the same words, so it doesn't appear to have favoritism for one or the other. And really what we're really looking at is people who are typically new voters,
Mhm.
who are changing, and then who 30, 40 years ago they're a registered Democrat and it
Right.
hasn't ever
Right.
really been
Yeah.
this option. You've always been able to choose your ballot.
I think the red, you should put this or the nonpartisan
yes.
ballot.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. Because I put it down too far.
Right,
It looks like
right.
a space. Yep, I'll put that in there.
Let me ask another question over here, and it
Mhm.
kind of goes back to our discussion here. This kind of covers everybody else except for independent
Oh, I can put them in there too.
and blank.
I can add that language because during class, I can add these languages there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like this.
Yep.
You're telling, I guess, closing this up by telling people that, that all of these are, don't change anything. It's just
Mhm.
Mhm.
above discussion of the democratic changes.
And
And
I can add those and part of the,
Underline not.
okay, yeah. Part of our discussion with the poll workers and supervisors was I would explain this part, but then they would come back and they'd say, okay, so the Republicans can get which ballots? You know, so that was then part of the conversation. So that's
Mhm.
what prompted me to put that. But I think you're right, Jim. I need to go ahead and add those others, and I will do that as well. I have space to do it.
Yeah.
So. Okay.
Okay, so we should, have a motion to approve this with the,
Do we need to,
corrections that you've
you
made,
need
just
us
to be
to
on the
vote on
safe
that?
side?
Not necess, I mean, it won't hurt anything.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's just do it.
so that way the language the commission has fully seen and
Yeah,
approved. So yeah, if you want to make the motion to do that, then yeah.
Well, the changes that you're going to make then, I will make a motion that we, approve, this document for use. I think you said it's just the primary,
Just the primary, yes.
for the primary and, with the changes that were discussed.
Okay.
And you can include those changes in that if you would like to do, which. So that's my motion.
I second that emotion to
The
approve.
emotion. That was a great song.
For the party affiliation change language as the changes we discussed.
Okay, all in favor? I'm not gonna repeat it. Aye.
Aye.
Proceed and, there's probably gonna be changes down the road, but
It's going to be confusing.
yeah, we'll start with this.
Unfortunately.
Okay, other business.
So I do have one other item for the commission. We have been looking at the early vote in room 115
Oh,
and how that is going to lay out and flow. We've also visited with Becky in the county clerk's office. We're taking all of the voting equipment up to the courthouse on Wednesday, the 11th to set up. I am actually suggesting that we don't vote in room 115, that we go ahead and vote in Becky's office. And part of the reason is that room 115, yes, once we got it all cleared out, I worry that the space is still going to be too tight for us. And the reason it is more tight than the clerk's office, it has one entrance and exit.
Mhm.
That's it.
Mhm.
Well, if we're setting up tables in the hallway to check in voters, we still have one entrance and one exit. It's the same door. So we went up to Becky's office after we had gone to the courthouse to just kind of get a look at room 115 once it was cleared out. You know, it's
Oh,
hard
right,
it's
yeah.
hard to envision a room when it has stuff in it to kind of see how it can play everything out. So we went back up to Becky's office to visit with Becky's office. I think we can get almost the same number of machines in Becky's office as we can in room 115. But we can make a better flow in Becky's office. So for instance, when you walk in Becky's door, there's that little side room where
Right.
everyone is always checked in. The voters will still check in that little side room. So
Mhm.
here's Becky's door when you come in. And they'll go in this little side room and they'll check in. And then we can put the supervisor right here.
Mm.
In previous years, we would then put the voter here this way and they walk down this hall and they vote and then they come out, but they still go out the same door.
Right.
However, in Becky's office, down this hallway is an exit door right here. If we have the voters come in and check in here, then they step back out, which would be essentially what we're doing in room 115.
Right.
We would change the flow.
To the other
So the
direction.
voters would go this way, come in here and vote.
Mm.
Come here, we would put the DS200 right here. They would come here and then exit out that way.
Yeah.
They never backtrack
Right.
on one another. And with us having to account for that doorway and the voters backtracking on one another in room 115, setting it up this way, I think we can get the same amount of machines, but I think we can make the flow work for
It's
better
just a
for the
better
voters.
flow.
We're still limited on machines, so that is not changing. But what we are changing is actually the congestion
Mhm.
and the flow for the
Mhm.
voters. The other thing that we were thinking about too is voters know, yes, we're voting in the courthouse. When we voted on the first floor, which is technically the second floor, it was there. So like when they came in, it's like right there.
Yeah.
But when voters come in and we have to tell them to go downstairs,
Mhm.
I think they're going to get lost downstairs, even though we're going to be right there. And
Yeah.
then they also have to exit
Mhm.
downstairs.
Yeah.
When we vote them up in the clerk's office, the stairs are right there. So if
Right.
people wanted to take the stairs to go down to the first floor, you have to go down the hall and
Oh,
find
yeah.
the staircase.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
hidden.
you come out in a point and you're like, I don't know where I am. So, but to take the stairs to Becky's office, they're right
It's
there
visible.
in front of you. When you
Yeah.
come out of Becky's office, the stairs are right there in front of you. And then you know you go down to exit the building. For the runoff election, we will be in Becky's office for the runoff election. We're always in
Right.
so consistency between the two is because I think for the runoff election, the voters might find their way down to room 115 and we're not there. For the runoff election, we would be in Becky's office. I just feel like I think we can make that work
Yeah.
better for us by readjusting the flow. We will still need to use room 115 because no matter how we set this up, we have to have a place to store extra machines,
Mhm.
extra ballots. The team has to have a place for, yes, that whole setup that I had to create. The team has to have a place to do shift change
Right.
because if we were down in room 115, we would still be having to find a place for shift change, find a place,
Yeah.
there's just so much that goes into it. So after taking a second look at it, I do think sending the voters into the county clerk's office, which is where they're used to voting,
Mhm.
that we can create a better flow in there.
I
And
agree.
Becky is more than happy
Okay.
to work with us. We're going
Mhm.
to clean up some of the space in there. We're going to store some of the things from her office down in room 115. So I do think that that is probably a better option
Mhm.
for us. Now, when we did our election sites, we just said we're voting in the courthouse. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not,
So it's not.
we're not changing
nailed
anything. We're
down.
just changing the room
The location inside the courthouse.
inside the courthouse.
Well, and people coming into the courthouse, if there's a line, they're going to see that right away
Yeah.
and they're going to know this
Yeah.
is where it is.
And Becky has the ability she has a big banner that we can hang from
Oh.
the staircase that says vote here.
Mhm.
When we're trying to send them down to room 115, we would essentially have had to have a poll worker who just
Sit there.
says,
Yeah.
Outside the elevator.
go downstairs. And then you can only get so many people downstairs.
Right.
Downstairs, I just feel like, and then going up and down the elevators, if you leave Becky's office, you don't necessarily have to wait for the elevator. The
That's true.
stairs
Yeah.
are right
Right
there.
there.
The voters can
Yep.
go right down the stairs.
Yep.
So for the flow purposes, but also for continuity for voters, and knowing exactly where to vote.
And for the number of people who might push that door open on the
Yes.
floor.
And we would still be dealing with the staff exiting and entering the building and all of those different things. So I think that after we looked at room 115 again with nothing in it, and then we went to visit in Becky's office, I do think that being in the county clerk's office is actually the
It's just a
best bet
better
for us.
option.
And another thing too, as we were discussing different things, I think that the county clerk's office is where we're going to get the biggest majority of these party affiliation changes.
Oh.
Also the county to county transfers. Being in Becky's
Mhm.
office means that we're not a
Mhm.
phone call. We're just a, hey, Marlena or
Yeah.
whoever, if you step right out there,
Right.
can help you, and that will cut down on the phone calls that Becky's office is receiving to make those changes.
Yeah.
Because in the past, county to county transfers used to have to go up to Becky's office, get transferred, and then they would come back downstairs.
Yeah.
We were now going to be making phone calls, so we're in her office. We'll just make it that way, and I do think it actually will be better for us.
Good. Good.
So that is my proposal for readjusting the early vote, in the courthouse.
And then we don't have to, or not, we don't have to explain it, but we can just say, oh, you would like that ballot. You have to make a change. The clerk over there.
Exactly. There's not a phone call that has to be made. The clerk can make it. And we tested how fast that changes, and
Oh, yeah.
it's really fast. And then the voter can just get back in line. We can process them, and they're not having to wait on the supervisor making phone calls to the clerk's office, while the clerk has the other places that may be trying to call in. So we think that this actually may be
Well,
better for us.
I definitely like the two, the
We-
ingress and the egress.
We do too. And Becky was the one who had that suggestion, because I hadn't ever thought about the fact that she has that exit door
Mhm.
that exit right out into like the hallway
main
down by the
hallway,
prosecutor's
yeah.
office.
It's not used.
Yeah.
So we didn't think about it.
No, it's not. We always had an arrow on it that said this way. So now we'll have it open, and then the voters, and the way it works out, this little hallway that was here, the supervisor will sit here, and then the ballot box, the DS-200 will sit right there. So voters can't try and go
That's
out that
right.
way because the DS-200's right there. We'll just orient them out that way. That was Becky's suggestion. We were like, oh, yeah, that's great. And so that way they're not in this area. We will have to have poll workers here and probably outside her door, because other people are coming in for marriage license
Oh, that's true.
and probate and different
Oh,
things
yeah.
like that. So we don't want someone waiting in line because they're getting a marriage license. We'll kind of be like, hey, are you here for a marriage license or to vote? If your marriage license, just go on in. If you're voting, you kind of wait in this line. So yeah.
Well, I think it's, I mean, you guys have worked the problem in a
Yeah.
way that wasn't just, well, this is the only thing we can do. And I applaud you for that,
Absolutely.
thinking outside the box.
Well, and that's kind of what we needed to do, because once
Yeah.
we got the room clear, we're kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, I just don't know. And just a second visit with Becky in her office, and her openness to
Mhm.
having us.
Mhm.
And we talked about the fact that back before we had all the offsite early voting, everything was done in her office. And we've done it before. So now for the general, this would be a no-go.
Right,
For the
right.
primary, we will be able to make this work.
Well, my recollection is that once upon a time when we used 115, we had a TV dividing the two, a big TV that was like a wall block for people going in and then coming out the other side. Or I don't remember if we went through that or if that was just an idea, but
Yeah.
that seemed really
It was going to be,
impossible.
yes, it was going to be difficult because the way those doors open in room 115, they don't open fully out. And so by having one line where people are coming in and another line where people are coming out, and then you've got that tight little space right
Right.
here
Mhm.
for exit and entering, it just will be a little difficult for us. So yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That makes sense.
so.
All right, well, we should, I guess, entertain a motion on this, that we're gonna go with the
new plan.
new setup that you've got. So,
No, I think I agree with Renee that I appreciate that you didn't give up, that you wanted to go take a second look at it.
Yeah.
This removes a problem from the courthouse employees restricting their access to the
Right.
courthouse
right.
and then all the other courthouse business. When we have a poll worker outside, can we go ahead and give them the I voted stickers early so we can kind
Oh.
of tag him?
Oh, so that I see what you're saying. So yeah, so.
I mean,
they-
that's one thought.
Yeah.
So that way her Becky staff knows like, oh, this person's intending
Yeah.
to vote, not get a marriage license
Well-
or probate.
My team will be helping Becky's team do that. So, yeah, so, and that's a lot of times when we do early vote, we have one person who kind of, she's got the little where they sit here. We have a person who stands here, and when the voters or when the people come in, she's just like, oh, hey, you need marriage license, go here. Oh, you need vote,
A
go
director.
here. So yeah, but we can certainly look at something along those lines.
And then everybody knows that they've been asked 20 times, like, hey, are you standing in line?
Yeah. To vote. So yeah.
So do
great.
we have a motion to proceed with this plan?
I prepare second motion.
No, we're
Agree.
doing a motion.
Okay.
You want to do it?
No, I'm going to listen to you, Jim. You do such a great job.
Well, I move that we accept this change in the flow of traffic and voting at the courthouse. And this is on, was it one day of voting or is it
This is the 2 weeks.
the
So
two,
yep. So
during,
this'll-
during the
yep.
2-week early voting process?
I second your motion, Jim.
You've heard the motion and the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Proceed. Yeah. I really appreciate the fact that you didn't
Oh, yeah.
let this
No.
just sit.
No,
It was just not satisfactory.
it wasn't. And I kept thinking maybe when the room got cleared,
Yeah.
but what it boils down to is the same entrance, because
Yeah.
we make it work at Medical Arts. Medical Arts is as big as there, and they vote easily 600 voters a day, easy, no problem with 6 machines. But the difference is they have an entrance and an exit.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that was my problem with room 115. But then when Becky pointed out she had that extra door, I was like, oh, that's the world's difference. So yeah.
It is huge. Okay, other business?
We are, after the primary and the runoff election, getting our front all
Oh,
redone. So
okay.
it will be ADA accessible. It will slope down. We will have rails. We will have all the good things that we need. So
Nice.
that will be happening after the primary,
Okay.
because we don't want to
Yeah.
start.
People like me won't be tripping.
Well, it was very obvious when we were doing poll worker training and supervisor training. Tanya stayed at that door the entire time, making
Yeah.
sure that when people were coming in and out. So yes, so that will be the project for the building this summer.
Good.
Is that going to include the electronic door?
So that is happening March the 11th. The Secretary of State's office and Homeland Security will be
Oh,
coming here to do an assessment.
okay.
If we get a grant, then
Oh, yeah.
that grant money will pay for that. But we also did make that as part of our budget request. So we'll see kind of where that
Yeah.
goes. So yes, so that
Okay.
may be a second part of the
Well,
project
she needs a tag. So.
for the courthouse.
Yeah.
Yes. So you will have to go to the courthouse to do that. I cannot, I cannot just give you papers. for that.
Yeah.
So,
I will go back to the courthouse.
unfortunately.
I've already been there. one time.
But
Yeah.
but if we do have that
Yeah.
in the door, we've got to have.
We will all have
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yes.
I can wait till the summer, sounds like.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so.
Yep.
Okay, other business. Any other